Blade Runner 2049 was released on October 6th, 2017. It was directed by Denis Villeneuve, and it follows Officer K, who is a Blade Runner, and he uncovers a 30-year-old mystery revolving around the birth of a child from a replicant. And that replicant was Rachel from the first movie. And so Officer K must seek the help of Rick Deckard to understand the origins of the child, Deckard, and K himself. Sci-fi semantics. The technology and science of Blade Runner 2049 are common themes in sci-fi films. The tech here is advanced enough to be new and innovative, yet still seem kind of old and dated, with aspects such as the big, thick bezels on the computer screens, the monochromatic blue and black screens we see love looking at currently in this picture. Another common sci-fi trope that Blade Runner 2049 falls into is the dystopian future. The world is very dark, the weather is smoggy, it's often raining or snowing. During the Las Vegas scenes, there is lots of fallout and nuclear waste, which makes the whole sky orange. And even the clothes on everyone kind of look very old and very kind of cold. There's not much life in them. And lastly, we have actually, instead of monsters or aliens, the world has replicants. They are synthetic humans made mainly for slave labor and are easy to control. They are used primarily off world to do heavy lifting and things like that. But society sees them more as monsters, when they don't do as they are told. What it means to be real. In Blade Runner 2049, the main ideologies center around creation. The humans who are born are seen as the superior race, while those that are created, such as the replicants, are seen as the second-class citizens. One of the main allegories in Blade Runner 2049 is finding your true self. Famous psychiatrist Carl Jung believed that our conscious mind was only a small aspect of ourself, and we must delve deeper into our subconscious to understand ourselves. Kay does this in this upcoming clip that I'll explain in just a moment. But going on to the metaphors, there are a lot of religious metaphors in Blade Runner 2049. Kay believes he is the Messiah, that he will save the replicants and lead them on the revolution, but in reality, it is Deckard's daughter who will be the Messiah. Wallace can be seen as a blind god, and he creates these beings with such great power. However, he's not aware of what they can actually do. Yes, as for this clip we have upcoming, it is when Kay actually decides to look deeper into his memories, and he goes to the memory maker, and who is actually Deckard's daughter. She basically informs him that the memory is not his. It was created and is actually her memory. So yes, let's enjoy this clip from Blade Runner 2049. You look like a good Joe. Joy actually says that to Officer K at one point during the movie, and he uses that as his alias after that. But, Officer K is our protagonist. He is the norm, he is the standard, he is our handsome, straight white male, and Joy is our perfect suburban housewife, counterpart to him. Joy is fully artificial. She has no tangible body. She is advertised as being anything you want her to be, and she does that exactly for Joe. However, just like the first film, Blade Runner 2049 doesn't have that much female representation aside from, the common tropes that they fall into. We have Joy, who falls into, the Madonna whore category. We have the mother, who could be seen as Joshi, Agent Joshi, and, the bitch, who is Love. But yes, the film mainly focuses on the male protagonists, Kay, and the second protagonist, Agent Deckard. Awakenings. So Joy is experiencing some sexual freedom. She has a new body. Well, not a tangible body, but she is mobile. She can go about the world. She can see things, and she wants to feel like a real girl. So she organizes a sort of threesome between her and Kay and Mariette, who is a prostitute replicant, who's kind of like acts as the physical stand-in for her. So she kind of places herself on top of Mariette's, and they, experience this human ritual, as replicants and AI, which is very beautiful. However, the film does at times, fall into the male gaze, unfortunately. Joy, she is an AI who is marketed as, being everything you want, and she can be basically your virtual girlfriend. But she is seen multiple times throughout the movie, full frame, naked, and yeah. The Other. In the Blade Runner universe, replicants are treated like second-class citizens compared to the humans. Skinner is an insult, often used towards Kay, and it's a derogatory term. A lot of his neighbors say it to him. Some people in the LAPD say it to him, his coworkers, and it's even written on his front door. So the humans are seen as the normals, the normal people. However, as the audience, we mainly get a point of view from replicants. So it's a very nice kind of flip on that perspective. The replicants are used as, representation as minorities. However, in the film, there really aren't that many, people of color. But, things like Japanese, Chinese, and even Korean writing can be seen on numerous buildings and machines, the vending machines as well. And however, the film is predominantly white. A good example of this is Jared Leto's Black Kimono. Kind of adds to the whole whitewashing aspect of this and kind of the first movie as well. The rich and everyone else. Even though the world is decaying, the elites get to live lavishly. The higher up you are, the better, such as Wallace, who quite literally towers over the entire city of Los Angeles and even dwarfs the old Tyrell Corporation building. In the first picture, we see Love, who is getting a very nice manicure done by some sort of laser, while she is also shooting missiles at Kay, who is in a landfill during that time. The middle picture represents, the common people, sort of. This is Officer K's apartment complex. It's very crowded, very dingy, very claustrophobic. The lighting is even, more harsh than the nice reflective lights that are in the Wallace building. And then lastly, we have, the orphanage where Kay finds lots of his clues. However, no electricity, everything's in dirt. You know, Definitely a major contrast. And when you do look at this contrast, you can also see how these classes are represented. The human class, the replicant class, and even though Love is getting a very nice manicure, she's also a replicant. So she's, not very, she's still not at the top of the chain. Everything you want. Transhumanism and disabilities. The technology in Blade Runner 2049 allows the citizens to live a more comfortable lifestyle. Most notably, Wallace himself. He is blind, and with the help of his technology, he can attach a device to his neck, which allows him to see his surroundings through multiple drones. Posthumanism comes up in the idea that replicants can replace humans, and that is a big theme throughout the first movie and the second film. Officer Joshi, in this next clip, mentions to Kay that society is built on a wall, and if you remove this wall, then there will be a war between the replicants and the humans. And this kind of brings up, the next issue of ethics and morality, the way that the replicants are treated. They're created and treated to obey, and if they don't, they are retired. So these replicants are pretty much slaves. So it begs the question, who is the real threat? Are the replicants the real threat, or are the humans who are giving them these orders the real threats? Next up, we will watch this clip between Officer Kay and Joshi. Do androids dream of electric sheep? Blade Runner 2049 has been hailed as one of the best unnecessary sequels. The first film, which came out over 30 years ago, ended on a perfectly great note. Didn't really need a sequel. However, the one we got blew expectations away. It is able to continue the lore and the story of the first film while also being unique enough to stand by itself. And one of the ways that I was able to do this was the help of multimedia projects, such as the short films that were released in between, until the lead up to the release of 2049. These short films helped fill in the blanks of some key events from the universe. One of these events happens to be the blackout that they speak of, which erases most of the records, or majority of the records, on file. Upon the release, critics were advised not to give away any spoilers in the reviews. One of the main spoilers, obviously, is Agent K being a replicant, which is given away very, very early in the film. And a lot of critics did, comply to these wishes, which is great, especially in, current days when you can see spoilers the day the day the film is released, or even, ahead of its release. And lastly, Blade Runner 2049 what was Roger Deakins' first Academy Award win that he received. He has had 13 previous nominations, and this was, his well-deserved award, and it is probably one of the most beautiful films, beautiful sci-fi films around.